FM. My name's Animwaa Anim-Addo. First of all, let me say a big thank you to Aram for sitting in for me for the past 2 weeks. And of course, as always, my love and appreciation goes out to you for staying tuned into Joy. Like, I know you could be anywhere, but you choose us every Wednesday, and we're so grateful. Tonight, we're having a very important conversation. Imagine you've carried a child for 9 months. You've gone through the morning sickness, the swollen feet, the swollen nose, the spitting maybe. You felt that baby kick. And then suddenly you meet this person who you've been waiting for 9 months. And you should be happy, shouldn't you? You should be excited. The tears that you cry should be tears of joy. After all, you're holding this human who didn't exist, who is suddenly a part of your life. But somehow you're not. Somehow your world, which should be completely lit up, is in darkness. You're full of tears, you're full of despair, and this little human being who you were told is supposed to bring you great joy is just really making you feel so overwhelmed, and nothing makes it better. That's a little glimpse into what postpartum depression feels like. On top of all of that, you're not really understood by anyone, especially in our culture. You're either told you're not praying enough, you're not grateful enough, you weren't prepared enough. Somehow it's your fault that you don't feel the joy that you are supposed to feel. If you're listening to us and you feel like that, well, first of all, we want you to know that we understand. And secondly, we're going to have a conversation which should help you, hopefully, navigate yourself out of that. My name is Animwaa Anim-Addo. This is Strong and Sassy, and tonight we're talking about postpartum depression. My guest in the studio with me is Margaret Nuwela Chetbeche. Did I get it right?
Yes, please.
Yay, I got it right. She's a programs director for Empowering Female Minds in STEM, and she has a story to share with us. Also joining us on the lines, the president of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, Ruth Owusu-Entry. Hi.
Hello.
You're right.
Very well, thank you.
You're good. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for making time to be here.
Thank you for having me too.
Let me say hello to Ruth. I think she's on Zoom. Hi, Ruth. Can you hear us? Hello.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Hi, Ruth. Can you unmute for us? Okay,
Yes,
so Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry is joining us by Zoom, and we're in the process of getting it set up. Margaret, let me start with you.
Right.
I mean, first of all, if you just want to spend the next few minutes telling us what your journey with postpartum depression has been like.
All right. So I am a two-time mom. Fortunately for me, every conception resulted in a birth, and I would say that my postpartum depression journey actually started during pregnancy.
Okay.
So thankfully, I was on this show in 2018. By then, I'd had my first child. That was the first time I opened up about postpartum depression. And since then, coming clean about it has helped me help other moms on their own journey. I don't know if there are any statistics to it, but I believe that the first child having depression is most likely that you would go through the same with the second. And that's what also happened to me with my second. From 2019 up until, I would say, 2021 ending, I struggled a bit, but with the help of family and God, I've been able to pull through and also support other moms.
Okay, so what was it like? Because there are people listening to us who have no clue what it's like. What is it like? Take us through the process of, when you started to feel not like yourself anymore.
All right, so I'm basically a church person volunteering in so many positions. So before I got married, gave birth, I'd already, spoken to God about the fact that pregnancy should be a breeze, only to have so much complications during pregnancy. And the toll it also had on our finances was also part. So by the time I was having the child, the complications also caused certain things that for the first 2 days, I couldn't even get to hold my own baby. A child I carried for 9 months, I couldn't touch it. And that was, should I say, the main trigger for it all starting. Not only that, while in hospital, my baby had to be admitted. I had problems with breastfeeding because of the latch. Okay. I could never get it right.
The baby wasn't latching.
On top of it too, as big as my boobs are, they were empty barrels. So this is a case where your baby is crying, you can't provide nutrition.
Yeah.
And
so immediately the toll you feel like a failure. Immediately. Yeah.
And this whole thing about exclusive breastfeeding and the pressure that comes with that. I wanted to just formula feed and be free. Everybody's like, try and combine it, do more breastfeeding, but nothing was coming. So all that coupled with the weight gain, the complications of cesarean section, because it was an emergency one. So I wasn't prepared for anything to do with it. The epidural, post-epidural complications, all that culminated in me going through, I would say, 2 years of horror, basically. Trying to reconcile having a child, the joy that should come with it, and not feeling that way, but rather, should I say, at odds with everything that was happening.
Right. So were you able to connect with your baby from the beginning? I mean, after those 2 days when you couldn't? Or was connection a problem?
It wasn't a problem. It was just the breastfeeding, the latching. I couldn't get it right. And unfortunately, we had some of these nurses and midwives who make it look like if you don't get it right, there's something wrong with you. But later on, I realized that every woman's nipple shape is different, and proper education has to be given. That depending on how things go within the first 2-3 days. Now we have lactation consultants, and it's now becoming a thing. But then it was something else. Trying to reconcile. Everybody's doing it. Why can't I get it right? With starving my baby, no breast milk coming. And then having to, should I say, munch on all those snacks, food recommendations given by grandmothers, mothers, and nothing working.
And still not being able to produce the milk.
It was painful.
So how did you feel?
There were 3 words that stuck with me throughout that period. I was big, fat, and ugly.
Oh.
Yeah. Those were the 3 words that stuck with me throughout.
Where did they come from?
I have no idea. Fine, I put on weight, but I felt so unloved, so unheard, so unseen. And I grew up with this. I was taught by my father that, no one owes you any help. So I grew up with this. I have to do it on my own. I've only got myself. And so asking for help was difficult. And when I did, the way I am confident and the way I portray myself, people think I don't have any problems. I've got myself together. So when I ask for help or I just give a little explanation as to what I'm struggling with, everybody goes like, huh? Really? So you don't know who to talk to, who to turn to actually get the help. So with time, I lost confidence. I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. If I see a mirror, I would run.
Oh, wow.
And it became so bad in terms of the tears and the cries and the screams from the baby because of hunger. And trying to combine this exclusive breastfeeding with the formula feeding. She kept reacting to the different formulas I was getting till I could finally settle on one. So that period was a very huge emotional turmoil. I would say till last year, every time my daughter cries, I have to resist the urge of putting my hands to my ears and not screaming. Like, I have to resist the urge. That's how much her cries used to trigger me. Yeah. So I even told my husband at a point that I'm lucky that we didn't live in a story building, because I have a feeling I would have just thrown my baby off the balcony.
Yeah.
It was too much. She cried a lot, and there was no one to talk to and let them know that I just need to be away from the baby from time to time, because I might hurt her or hurt myself. So rather, since I was feeling that way, I would find myself sitting in the bathroom, the shower on, a blade in my hand, waiting to just cut myself. And I attempted suicide 4 times, actually. Yeah, so it was an experience I do not want any woman to go through. And I would say that it's been a journey.
It sounds like it's been a journey. How are you now?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yes, I am.
Did you feel like you couldn't talk to anybody about the way that you were feeling?
I tried. And I even went to see a psychiatrist. And her reaction was, you're not supposed to be depressed. With all the support system and the people around you, how can you be depressed? I almost slapped her on the spot.
I think you should have. Like 3. Pop, pop.
I told her that I can see you are not going to help me. So what else can you do? She prescribed meds I never took. So after that was when I attempted my 4th.
I'm still stuck on the response. Like, I'm still stuck on the response. I don't even know.
Even a stranger who is supposed to give me support is telling me that I have no rights to be depressed. Looking at how my home situation is like, I mean, it's like you just come out of a vacuum and you are into yourself and you just feel that everybody should give you attention. No.
You get that a lot. When people talk about being depressed, it's almost synonymous with attention seeking in our cultures, as if, you just want special treatment, or you just want attention without realizing that, like, I don't want to be depressed. I'd rather not feel this way.
Yes. It's sad. I remember with my second child, my boy, he was also admitted on his 4th day. Okay,
so first of all, when you found out you were pregnant with the second child, were you scared?
Well, I was scared. I was very scared that I would go through it again. Yeah. So it's something I prayed about, read about, but still, I went through it because at the time I gave birth to my second boy, when he was admitted at the hospital, the first diagnosis that was given by the doctors were that my breast milk was poisoning him. And I was like, wow. How can something that's supposed to give him life
be poisoning him?
I was like, what is this thing with breast milk?
I'm sure there would have been a better way to put it.
My goodness.
Even if, let's say, there was something in your breast milk that perhaps was not compatible with him. I don't know the medicalism, but there must be a better way
of putting it. What even made me cry even worse was the fact that when we got to the babies unit at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Children's Hospital, I was giving a harsh rundown by the nurse that a baby had carried for 9 months. I can't touch him. Once he's in his cot in the hospital, I can't touch him. I can't go near. I'm supposed to be seated away from him. And there are times in the day I have to move away from him for them to take. I'm like, a child I carried, you are now giving me rules as to how to interact with him. I just broke down in tears. And to be told on top of that my breast milk was poisonous to the child, it just triggered everything all over again. Fine, I was prepared with my formula, but still, that was the last thing I expected to hear.
Wow. Well, good evening to all the wonderful healthcare workers out there. Not everyone is like that. I mean, not all. So we're not going to target, but it's very disappointing to hear some of these things. Let me speak to Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry for a second as well. Hello, good evening, Doc.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. So, I mean, listening to Margaret's story, before we get into the medicalities or, all of that of what postpartum depression is, I mean, I really would like you, if you can, to address, sometimes the way that some of these issues are communicated, medical personnel to patient.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad we are talking about maternal mental health. It's one of the areas I'm very passionate about. And so I congratulate you and your team for putting this together. But it's unfortunate that some of the healthcare professionals is it Margaret met were very insensitive to her plight. I can assure you that not every healthcare professional is like that. But whenever you have a vast majority of people, you should get some bad nuts. That is unfortunate. But sometimes not have no clue as to how these things, how to more education on maternal mental health, even among the healthcare professionals, right way to communicate, use empathetic language to communicate with clients. So that is unfortunate, but I am sure and I'm very certain that not every healthcare professional is like that. Unfortunately, when you meet people who are not sensitive to the plight of newborn mothers or new mothers, it can worsen the already depression or anxiety or some maternal mental illness they may already be.
Doc, your internet is not great. It's kind of not flowing smoothly. But our very good friend, Doctor.
You don't want to be our health goes on the downhill when talking to these mothers because they are in that position, that period around pregnancy and around delivery itself or alone is a high risk period for people to go into mental ill health.
Right. Okay. So that's Dr. Ruth Owusu-Entry, president of the Psychiatric Association of Ghana, just addressing the communication that goes on between healthcare professionals and patients. So a very good friend of our show, Dr. Promise Sefoga, he just sent me an article that he wrote. Well, actually, more like I think it's like a thesis. So it's in a journal, and it was research, and it says that among 1,456 women that were screened, mental health disorders, 27.5% of women had mental health disorders. So it's not like it's something that's so rare. The reason I'm saying this is because if it's something that is not so rare, then how come we're not having enough conversations about? So how come we have healthcare professionals who are not equipped to be able to address them? But then again, this is the issue with mental health issues generally in Ghana. Not just postpartum depression, whatever it is. I remember when I had my son, I had a few weeks where I was feeling pretty low, and I was trying to reach out and have conversations, and most people were just like, go and pray about it. Like, why don't you pray about it? Or, you feel like, oh, you've lived outside for a few years, or you've come back to Ghana and now, you are coming to, act as if like these white people things and white people things. I'm like, wow, I see. We really haven't moved forward at all
in terms of awareness. It's poor. But thank God for safe spaces like Talkative Mom and other groups of women are coming together just to talk about how mothering and parenting is going, how to, should I say, automate certain tasks so that you don't, because stress is a huge factor.
Yeah.
Stress is a huge factor. Every new mom needs all the help they can get. Not the lecturing, not the recommendations, because at the end of the day, not everything works for everybody.
Exactly.
So what they need is help. And one thing I've realized about the word help is that most people don't understand it. If you're not helping me such that it is going to solve my issue, you're either compounding it for me. And most don't ask the new moms, how do you want me to help you? They just come bamboozle their way through. This is how it should be done. You are carrying your child too much. You are pampering your child too. I mean, who pampers a baby? A baby is a baby.
Who is helpless.
Oh my goodness. And you would wonder about the way everything is imposed on you. You're supposed to know this, but no baby comes with a manual.
Exactly.
So
and every baby is different.
Every pregnancy is different.
Yeah.
So allow the mom to find her feet, to get herself into a schedule, because that's what I realized I failed to do. At a point, I did not have any inclination to take a bath, brush my teeth. If I could go till evening before eating, because there was no move, no motivation to do anything for myself. I'm already a failure. I can't give nutrition to my own child. Why should I call myself a mother? So I would prefer that we backtrack, look at it again. How are we helping moms when they give birth? From the time they enter the labor ward or the operation room to take out the baby, what are we doing to help? If you come with your impositions, you know that these days everybody now has an opinion. And if you come imposing your opinion and it's not taking well, you'd have this system of being cut off quite quickly. So what we need is support, empathy, and understanding.
Yeah, so important. Doc, okay, let's have a conversation now about what exactly postpartum depression is, and we'd like to know some of the things that cause it and really how to deal with it as well.
Well, so depression can happen across the lifespan, from children as young. I have had a child as young as 7 years, satisfying all the criteria for depression. And then you have elderly women, elderly people. And so depression can happen across the lifespan, but specifically when it happens around the childbirth, and I would rather use the terminology peripartum, which means that during pregnancy and then after pregnancy. The obstetricians will tell us that the postpartum period is 6 months after delivery. But when it comes to mental health, we extend it up to a year after delivery. And so depression that is occurring, or any form of mental breakdown that is occurring during the pregnancy and up to 1 year after the pregnancy, is considered as a maternal mental ill health. Specifically when it is depression, we would look at the first 6 months after delivery. But when people are depressed during this postpartum period after the delivery, what makes it very, very concerning and very worrying is that this is a depressed mother who is very dying, very sad for no apparent reason. Isolating herself from everyone.
I prefer WebEx or Meet.
Okay. Again, we're having a bit of a problem with Doc's internet. Maybe we should just switch to phone call so that we can hear her properly. Let me come back to you, Margaret. So the thing that really stands out from you, I think that I'm really interested in, is how you were able to go from the way you felt to how you are now, the journey of recovery, as it were.
All right. So the first thing I needed to do was buy a mirror.
Okay.
And thanks to my sister, I was able to get a full-length mirror. So having to see myself, accept myself for what I look like now, and going to encourage myself. So I had to get help. So I used my phone a lot. My husband also helped with baby care in order that it limits the amount of time I spend with the baby and hearing her crying. And
why was she still crying?
She cries a lot because she doesn't like food.
Okay, that's what she came with.
Yes, she just wouldn't eat. Eating is a chore for her.
Okay.
The fact that she has to open her mouth and swallow.
Wow. Okay, she's still like that.
Yes.
Okay.
We have to beg her to eat.
Hey, ask some more.
With so many bribes and threats.
Wow. Okay.
So it's still a journey in terms of getting her to, because there are times, like I said, up until a year ago, when she cries, it triggers me. So I had to fall into a schedule. So I needed help with accountability. Have you brushed your teeth today? Have you bathed? A call. So my husband would call me 2 to 3 times during the day. Have you been able to get something to eat? should I order food for you? And then he encouraged me with the bathing was even an issue. So in the evening, we would go into the bathroom together, take a bath, talk about the day.
So like a family bath.
Without the baby though.
Without the baby, yeah.
And it helped me to, should I say, find my balance in terms of interaction, because I needed to hear that I was seen, I was heard, I was loved. And getting her into school early also helped. So that way I have a schedule to follow, get her ready for school, get her food ready, pack it up, send her to school, pick her up. So during the day, I was at work.
Okay. So
thankfully,
you went back to work at some point.
I was an administrator of a school then. So I even had a baby's cot in my office.
Okay.
So she was in the school with me.
Okay.
So taking her to school, having someone else take care of her was it was both a joy and a relief.
Yeah.
So it was at the end of the day that I get her back.
How do you sorry, not to interrupt you, but how do you feel about saying that taking my daughter to school and having her away from me was both a joy and a relief? Because people will come for you for a statement like that. No, you know what I mean. Like,
I do.
That's not really the definition of motherhood. Like, I get that, because sometimes I'm like, I'm so glad that my children are somewhere. Like, I am so, but there's always that guilt thing, you know. So how do you feel, before we continue, how do you feel about that statement and what it means for a mother to really have that time where they're just not a mother?
We will be called selfish and self-centered for that. But there comes a time where your mind goes like, I wasn't born into this world just to mother. I also have my purpose and the role I play, the impact I'm also making on other lives. And if I'm tied down, my identity is tied down to being a mother only, I'm going to be put under a certain pressure where I have to live up to expectations. But in this life, not everybody will be able to mother their child from babyhood right up to when they leave home, getting married. So I would say that yes, it's something that people would come for me for saying, but I needed that space, that mental space to find myself again and tell myself that I am not just a mother. I am still Margaret Miller with a passion for this and that, with a purpose for doing this and that. And not only that, too, I am a mother as well.
Wow. I just felt like somebody needed to hear that it's okay, you know, for the moments when you just need to not have your children around you. So that kind of helped you getting back into work and having her being looked after by someone else. That helped a lot.
That really helped. So weekends, once I'm home, my husband helps with taking care of her, or we have a family member come over if he's going to be away to take care of her, so that I could do other things. Because at a point when I go near her, her diaper has to be changed, she has to be cuddled, she has to be burped. I would get this huge feelings of overwhelmed guilt that I am not good enough, I'm not going to get this right, I'm not going to do this right. So that's how come I needed to unplug from time to time, being a mother and having other people take care of her. So as I am directing other people as to how I would want her looked after, it helped me realize that I do care for this human.
And you're capable.
And I am capable of doing it. I just need help.
Yeah. I love that. I love that I just need help. Like, we're not superwomen.
No, we are.
You don't have to do it all by yourself. It's okay to allow people in your space to support you.
Yes.
Yeah. So Doc is back on the line. Hi, Doc.
Hi.
Linda also.
Hi. I'm so sorry that the internet seems to be. Are you there?
Yes, I am there, and I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, all right. So you were just taking us through exactly what postpartum peripartum depression is, and how we can deal with it. So please continue.
Yes, thank you. So when depression occurs around pregnancy and about up to a year after delivery, we will call it peripartum depression. And I have already said that depression occurs across the lifespan. But depression occurring during the peripartum period is very important for several reasons. This is because this condition presents with low mood. The mother feels like withdrawing from everybody. There is lack of interest in anything around her, including taking care of herself. She easily gets tired after doing very, very basic household tasks or very basic chores. She has lost interest in everything. Her self-esteem is down. She feels guilty for no apparent reason. All sorts of things are going through her mind and going on with her mental health. And yet, this mother is expected to take care of another human being, another child. This is a mother who can barely take care of herself. How does she put herself together to take care of another child, another baby? And that is why depression around pregnancy and delivery is very crucial. Because when the mother goes through depression, there is a high risk of suicide and infanticide. You don't lose just one person in case there is no help, or in case that depression gets worse. Two people are likely to be lost at a go. She kills the baby and kills herself, because then that thought of it is the fault of this baby. Had this baby not come, and all of this wouldn't have happened to me, or I am not capable of being a mother, so let me just kill this baby and kill myself. And because of that, we take depression around the peripartum and especially postpartum very seriously. And most of the time when you get to specialist hospitals, we do not even waste time with antidepressants. We rather resort to another mechanism of resolving the depression, the postpartum depression we call electroconvulsive therapy, which is way faster than the medication. We do that in combination with the medication if the ECT is available, because within a week or two, the mother is able to snap out of the depression and be able to take care of the child. And in addition to that, depression post-delivery or around pregnancy is crucial, because when the mother is unable to take care of herself because she's depressed, she's not eating well, she's not taking any medication. During the pregnancy, the baby, there is poor fetal growth, there is likely to be preterm delivery and low birth weight. And then such children, when they are eventually born, and because of the poor care, poor in quotes, because the mother is depressed, are more vulnerable to infections and etc. And that child, because there isn't active interaction from the mother, if there is no caregiver or family support to play that role, that child's development becomes impaired. And those children are likely to grow up with varying degrees of learning disability, or what we used to call mental retardation. Because interestingly, children do not just develop based on their biological make, but they develop in addition to their biological makeup. What stimulation they get from their environment. So that combination, environmental and biological, so nature plus the nurture come together to make this child's development normal and concrete. And so if that environmental stimulation is lost, so nobody wiggles any toy to this child, nobody smiles to this child, nobody cools and woos to this child, nobody is smiling back, throwing this child up, and smiling and singing to that child. That environmental stimulation bit that contributes to the full development of the child is greatly impaired, greatly lost. That would eventually affect the baby in two. And so we want to do everything possible when a mother is depressed to kick her out of that depression. Otherwise, two people eventually get affected.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for that Dr. Owusu Entry. Really, really grateful. We hear you have another meeting, so we'll let you go. But thank you so much for joining the conversation. All right, so this is Strong and Sassy here on your Superstation Joy 99.7 FM. And we're going to go for a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're joined by Linda Dede Ahulu. She's a clinical psychologist. And also Margaret is still in the studio. Now, we really want to focus on getting better. How do we get better? This is still Strong and Sassy. Please don't go anywhere.
The voters registration exercise 2023 is here with us now. The Electoral Commission is making preparations for voters registration exercise from 12 September to 2nd October 2023 to enable citizens who have turned 18 years or persons who have not previously registered to visit the EC office in their district and register as a voter ahead of the upcoming district level elections 2023. The registration exercise is in line with the Commission's mandate to compile the register of voters and revise it at such periods as may be determined by law. Every eligible Ghanaian should visit the EC office in their district and present their Ghana card or passport for inclusion in the voters register. Applicants who do not have a Ghana card or passport are required to bring 2 persons who are already registered voters to guarantee their registration. Do not register again if you have lost your voter ID card. Replacement of voter ID cards will start from 3rd October 2023 after the registration exercise. Transfer of votes will also be done from 3rd October to 9th October 2023. It is a criminal offense for a guarantor to guarantee for more than 10 people, non-Ghanaians and persons who are not 18 years of age. Guarantors who violate this provision will be prosecuted. The voters' registration exercise is part of efforts to ensure credible, transparent, and peaceful elections in Ghana. Register to vote. Your vote is your power. The voters' registration exercise 2023 is here with us now.
Welcome back. This is Strong and Sassy on your Superstation Joy 99.7 FM. If you're just joining the conversation, we're talking about postpartum depression, really everything you need to know. I mean, you've missed a lot, so probably Facebook is like your best bet for catching up with the conversation because we're live. So you'll get to hear Margaret's story. Margaret shared with us what it was like for her dealing with postpartum depression, and I think we've been a little bit emotional since we started because it's really tough to hear another woman or a mother, feel so much despair and so much pain, and yet we know that about 27.5% of women who have babies in Ghana will have some sort of a mental, I don't like calling it mental illness, but anyway, they'll struggle a bit. So anyway, Linda is joining us. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Happy to have you here.
Happy to be here.
So the last leg of our conversation, I really wanted us to focus on how to get better. So proper diagnosis, and then the process of, Margaret was telling us that for her was setting the schedule, getting support, and then nightly romantic baths with her husband. That's what's made her feel better. But obviously we know that between feeling the way you feel and getting to that point where you start feeling better, there's a lot of work that has to be done. Yes. So just take us through, from getting the right diagnosis to starting to feeling better.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to say that society puts a lot of pressure on women, directly and indirectly. And having a child in the Ghanaian society, and not even just in the Ghanaian society is structured in such a way that childbirth is essential for its continuity. And when it happens like that, everybody is supposed to be, happy, excited, joyous, and all of that. So when it does not happen like that, it becomes a problem, especially for the mother. Many people presume that the mother is really comfortable with what she's experiencing. This is a mental health condition. Postpartum depression is a condition. So the mother is
it's not
going
to
no,
it's not like
not
I'm
at
tired
all.
or feeling
It's
some
not
way.
You for example, if you have a lazy mother, when they have a child, they are lazy. They may be lazy.
That's
laziness. And there are even mothers who have children and they have a sudden awakening. Wow, I have brought into the world a new beautiful baby. Let me just, put in every effort I can to make sure that this child is fine. That's different. But when the person lives their normal lives every day, they go, they come, they are able to work, they are able to function, and all of a sudden there's a change, it becomes problematic for the mother herself. And that's one thing that society needs to understand, that the person is not intentionally or comfortable with the condition that she has found herself in. Now, it's a medical condition because there are a lot of neurotransmitters, there are a lot of problems going on, and I don't want to go all technical, but the person does not really enjoy what she's going through. So it's very important that society understands. And I'm very happy that we are having this education, because there are many people who do not know at all what this is. If a woman suddenly puts to birth and then she's changed, she's not really interested in taking care of the child. Sometimes hygiene, lack of interest in everything. It's not just, taking care of the child, everything.
Margaret described it. She didn't want to bath.
Everything, eating. Sometimes she doesn't want to eat. Sometimes she overeats. It depends on what neurotransmitter is, whatever is happening in the brain at that particular time. So it is a medical emergency. There are some times when it becomes psychotic. The person develops psychosis. So it's on a continuum. We have the the blues, where it doesn't really last for so long, and then we have the depression itself. Now, depression can lead to psychosis, where the person develops more serious symptoms. They can have hallucinations, and at this point it becomes an emergency, because they become a harm to themselves and the baby. So there are certain times you hear that some woman abandoned their child somewhere, and all of that.
Or somebody threw their child over the balcony.
Sometimes it's not really because they wanted to do it. It's important that society understands. And I'm hitting on the fact because it's a society that makes these things really difficult. First of all, you're expected to have a child. How many, as soon as you get married, everybody is counting. So psychologically, there's a burden on you. Now you have this child, you go through the whole 9 months. We are lucky or happy when the person actually has the child. How about those who lose the kids? 9 months down the line, the kid is gone. And they also have to experience the same. They go through postpartum depression as well. Then there are many other factors. I just want to hit on a few. Unwanted pregnancy. Even when the pregnancy is wanted, the fact that the person's life has changed is in itself not easy. And when it is an unwanted pregnancy, that puts extra burden on the mother. Also, when people unfortunately have children with special needs, goodness, that becomes so difficult. I mean, you look at what it takes to take care of a normal child. Now you have a child, you have to go through all of that with special needs. So it dawns on you suddenly. And then you realize that this is so much more than you asked for. Financial issues. Having a child comes with so much. You have to take care of the child. You have all of these things to do.
Nappy bills.
Exactly.
Milk.
And then when you have a boy instead of a girl, or a girl instead of a boy. These are very minute.
Very subtle.
Yes, they are subtle, but nobody,
they are major,
they are major for the mother. You sit back and then you are wondering what happened. I mean, for some people, they were so sure they were going to have boys, and then they had girls and all of that. And society is looking at you, as if you chose to have the gender.
Because people still in this Ghana do not know that it is the man who is responsible for the gender of the child.
People do not
so
know.
it is like you, they are only giving birth to girls.
People do not know that you have.
And meanwhile, you don't know that it is your son that is doing the XXXX.
I know. And so I keep hitting the point
that you don't know, please say it for those who don't know.
Yes, I'm saying that.
Thank you.
It is the man that determines the gender of the baby.
Thank you.
The woman has an SS, and then you bring the Y. If you bring a Y, it becomes a man, a boy.
If you bring an ex.
If you bring an
don't
ex,
ever stand in front of a woman and say that she's having too many girls or having too many. Munjaisa.
Yes.
My friend who came home from the hospital only for her landlady to say, I thought you were bringing a human being home in Tree.
Yes.
It was a girl.
Can you imagine?
And she just, I thought you were bringing a human being.
And she's a woman.
Involved, or she was let go without any slap.
She let her go.
Well, her hand is in her landlady's mouth. She cannot really slap her.
Yes.
We're so insensitive sometimes.
Very.
And then the painful thing. So I'm so sorry I'm interrupting you. This thing, it trickles down into the value of a woman, the value of the girl, the child, and the value of a woman. And then at 40, 50, you are still fighting to prove your value as a woman to society because somehow men have more value from the time that you have a son and it's like, oh, you've done so well. But when you have a woman, then it's like, it's not. Meanwhile, it is a woman who gave birth to the son. So if the woman wasn't there, how are you going to have the son or there?
Exactly.
I mean, I'm totally off point, but Maka, so it's fine.
It is the truth. I mean, it's high time society changes. And I'm saying this also to get to the point that help is available. Help is very, very much available. It depends on, I heard Margaret talking about her initially when everything was happening, she talked to someone and it wasn't helpful. The person
you are saying it's like it's nice. It wasn't helpful, it's not nice. The person said that, why should you be depressed? Because you have everything, you have support system. So why should, and this was a healthcare professional.
Yes, you know how you find yourself in a situation and somebody goes like, I know how you feel. I understand. No, you don't know how they feel. You don't understand what they are going through. When you talk to a professional, because we have been trained and we have had experiences, we know how to deal with it. It is important that you talk to a professional. In our Ghanaian society, everybody is a counselor, everybody provides advice. The grandmothers and the aunties, they are giving you 10,000 things to do and what not to do and all of that. That in itself is depressive for the woman.
Yeah.
You have so many things on your mind. You're already going through so much and the pressure is coming from various angles. So it's important that you know who to talk to. And help is indeed available. There are two angles that postpartum depression is handled from. You either go medical or psychological, or sometimes we blend the two, depending. We are very careful with prescription because, the mother is breastfeeding.
Exactly.
Yes, so we are very careful not to give medications that are very harmful to the child. I like I said, I don't want to go into the all of
the
that
details.
Yes. So for when you see a therapist, let's say you've come to see a therapist, we first find the content area, or what is it really that is happening. We like to know what caused it, because if you find the cause, it is easy to tackle it from there. Now we need to also find out what resources does the person have that we can tap to help the person recover. They are called coping.
So, for example, with Margaret, the cause for her was the fact that she wasn't able to feed the baby.
Yes, for Margaret, and that
triggered.
Yes, she wasn't able to feed the baby, and that's in itself it's the depression that causes that. So suddenly you've lost interest in all of that. You don't want to feed your baby amongst that.
Because you feel like you can't.
Yes, you feel like you can't. Apart from that, you feel that you are burdened. There's so much on you. At that particular time, you are not feeding. You're not feeding yourself. How do you feed the baby? You're not able to sleep. You need the energy to be able to take care of the baby. You are not interested in anything. And at that particular point, you need to be able to care for the baby, changing diapers, among others. So and she mentioned that the person said that she has social support. So why is it that she's going through all of that? Sometimes social support is not enough. And even the quality of your social support is essential. How informed are the people who are taking care of you, the primary caregivers? How informed are they? Most often we are so particular, we are taking care of the baby. We ignore the mother.
Yeah.
Yes, we are taking care. The society is happy. Oh, wow, the banning we are for and all of that. But the mother, So by the time that we realize that, oh, she's not really able to do what she's supposed to do, it would be late.
And then we also come judging.
Yes.
As opposed to compassion.
Yes.
Yeah. We come judging the mom, like, why is your house a mess? Why is there no food? The fact that you've given birth doesn't mean you should abandon your husband.
As if she likes it. As if she enjoys what is really happening to her. It's very sad.
Since you came late,
yes,
we have to do a part 2.
Okay, definitely.
Because we have 3 minutes left.
Definitely.
And I feel like we've barely scratched the surface. So we're holding you, Ransom, on air. That's next week. You will be here at 7 so that we can continue the conversation.
Great.
Agreed?
Sure. Yes, agreed.
We can't hear you.
Agreed.
Okay, all right. So because of time, we will continue this conversation next week. Thank you so much for the messages. So many people with questions and a lot of input. Let me do a few of your messages in the next 1 minute. And then next week, we'll delve into dealing with it and getting through it, because we don't want to stop at the problem. Okay, Nana Kwesi says, listening to all that's been said, it makes me wonder if we've done a good job raising boys into men who will understand the stages, who will be ready and supportive when the time comes. Wow, Margaret says they're clueless. But yes, we should also have a conversation on raising boys, because we come for our men, but ultimately we're responsible because we're the ones who raised them. So yeah, Vincent says the reason why many people in Ghana don't understand why you should be depressed is because the economy and many living conditions are already depressing. Many people in this part of the world are already depressed. So when you add something else to the existing depression, then they think you're over exaggerating. Yeah, Rose said, good evening. My last born was the same, crying and refusing to eat until the age of 8. Wow. Now he eats and we are complaining that he's eating too much. It was terrible. But Rose says that if that was her first son, she wouldn't have given birth again after what she went through. Thank you so much, Rose, for sharing that with us. I have learned that when you take a break as a mother, do the things you enjoy, then you are filled with joy. It's only then that you're able to give joy to your child or your family. Essie wanted to know how to diagnose depression. And Raul says, I love the discussion. However, depression is becoming alarming because couples of late prefer living alone without extended family members. Again, that's not really the cause of depression, whether you live alone or whether you have family members. So Raul, definitely join us next week. Kay from Tantra Hill says, these are some of the reasons why our women must fight for paternity leave for the men, at least 2 weeks or even a month. Thank you for that, Kay. Okay, guys, it's 8 o'clock. Fosti is here with the 8 o'clock news. My name is Animwaa Anim-Addo. Thank you very much to Margaret and to Linda for